Well, today I'm going to finally get around to planting my variegated jade plant cuttings and the leaves that have I've pulled off and they have fallen off. So we're going to get started on that. But I think instead of planting this whole thing, I've changed my mind, and even though the end of this is calloused over, I'm just going to go ahead and before I plant it, I'm just going to trim that lateral branch that's on the plant, and then this tiny little sprig that's growing out the side. I'll just plant those separately because I want the nice tall stem for a deeper pot, and I want it to have a chance at growing straight up. There may still be some issues, but I can take this little medium shoot and put that down in a pot, and then this little tiny one. It may not have much of a chance, but I won't know until I try, so I'm going to do that. Now I've got my succulent mix soil full of the chicken grit. Here's a tray to catch all the soil and the mess that I know I always make. And this will be the larger pot, the medium pot, which is a Hypertufa pot. And then I'll also have a little small pot for the little bitty one. But let's get started here. We'll plant the Hypertufa pot first. Now, I want to bury the stem deeply into this. So I think I'm just going to go ahead to remove all of that soil first and then just pack the soil around it. This pot does have drainage. There's a hole in the bottom of it. And if I kind of measure the little stem up against it, I think it looks like it's going to be just about the right size for this plant. But let me just dig all that out of there. And then of course I'll put a coffee filter down in there to keep the soil from falling out. I usually just have a folded over piece, several layers thick is perfect. And then we'll just put the soil back in, get that stem adjusted right in the middle, and just hope and pray that this will root well. I will have so many variegated jades if all of these grow, and I'll have lots of gifts if they do accomplish growth and have a nice little thing. And these are going to go outside. They're going out on the deck for the summer. I've got some of the bonide systemic in here. I don't expect these to bloom, so I'm not going to worry about flowers and everything on these and hurting bees and other things like that. But I do want these protected, so we've got bonide included in that. That's a systemic. I'll put a link to the bottom if you're interested in that, because that works so well for me to take care of bugs. It's taken care of my gnats all winter. Perfect. But anyway, I think that looks really good in Hypertufa. I like that little square pot. And now this larger pot I'm going to use for the largest stem. It should work real well. Now it's a used pot. It's got a lot of staining in it already, but I've got it cleaned out, and we'll get that packed in kind of tight. I do want this stem to be sturdy enough to hold it upright. I don't want it to sag. That's the problem I'm having with my jades. But I think that looks just about the right size and shape for this jade sprig. So we'll go ahead and add the soil mixture. I have a video on mixing succulent soil. If you were interested in that, I'll reference it up here, so you can see how I mix my soil together. I like to use chicken grit. That's crushed granite, but I'll explain all about that in the video. But I'll press this in, make it nice and firm, top it off so that I have got it well situated in that soil. Yeah, it feels like it's going to hold up all on its own, but just in case, I think I'll bring over some of my stone. I've got some lava rock and some round river rock. I'll just kind of coat the top of the soil with that, because we don't want it to sag and try to come out of the pot. You can see that one lower branch is a really lateral branch. I may have some issues with that, but if I can get it established and get it growing, I may worry about trimming off that lateral branch later, because it's mainly straight upright except for that branch. So later, if we get some good growth, I may trim that off. But I'll do that probably in another month, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, to give it a chance to grow outside and become real healthy before we do that. Now this tiny little piece, there's almost no stem left at the bottom. I've got a little tiny clay pot here with drainage. Got my coffee filter stuffed in there. And so we'll put the soil in here, and it appears to me the way this little branch has grown, I'm going to need to pull off the lower leaf. You can see that one right there. I should go get something sharp and trim it, but we'll just take our chances, see what happens. So I just shove that little stem down in there. The roots may grow from that stem and also from these lower leaves. But that'll be a nice cute one if that does work out. Put a few little stone around there to kind of prop the edges off the soil. I don't want those leaves to touch and drag into the soil, so they can drag against the stones. And then lastly, I've got a Hypertufa box here. I think this probably must be 5, 6, 8 years old, and it was made from a Velveeta box, in case you can't tell. And I'm just going to use that as kind of a long tray to put the leaves in. I've got about, I don't know, 6 or 8 or 10 leaves that I'm just going to shove in here because I don't want to waste them. Otherwise, throw them in the bin, but no, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to go ahead and try to root them. I'll coat the surface with the chicken grit and then try and shove the leaves down through that and see if we can get some growth. Now some of these leaves are in better shape than the others, but if it has any bit of a chance, we'll try it. So I'll just kind of put the little teeny trowel here and make a little slit into the soil, shove it down in there, and let it lie against the chicken grit to try and keep it from just going ahead and rotting. But this, as I said, is going to be outside. It will be in sunlight. I think I'll probably nestle it amongst a few of the other bigger bowls to give it a little bit of shade here and there. But this is going to get some nice light, cool evenings, warm days. And we've been having some pretty cool evenings here lately. It's gotten to be in the 40s at night, which is very, very strange this late in the year. But what are you going to do? Ohio is Ohio. Now this little tiny leaf left over is shaped like a little heart, and I think I'm going to put it in there and hope for a little beginnings from a little tiny heart-shaped leaf. So there we go. We've got a lot of variegation on some, not so much on some of the others, but we'll see what happens out in the sunlight. I think they look really good. Okay, now let's put them out here next to some of their sisters and brothers of succulent land, and we'll see what they can do. Hopefully that one will grow upright. See, that's a coral, lemon coral there, and then my blue elf with a random succulent that I cut off another pot. Can't remember what that one was I shoved in there that's red there on the side. But I think these are going to look real good. They've perked up in the couple days since I planted them. So I'll keep my fingers crossed that I'll have some more variegated jades. I don't know what I'll do in the wintertime when I've got to bring these in. I may have to find some people to give them to. Well, it's going to storm. It'll be good for these to get a light rain and get a good head start. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next video.